Dune Imperium Bloodlines. Oh my god, I'm so excited. We finally have all the information. This is the next expansion for Dune Imperium. That includes the original Dune Imperium and Dune Imperium Uprising. And up until now, we've just had a little bit of information, a couple of the leaders, a couple of the mechanics, but a lot has been a mystery, including when is this thing coming out? Well, today on a YouTube channel called The Discriminating Gamer, we finally found a complete unboxing of the game. Direwolf sent the game to Ray at The Discriminating Gamer, who did a great unboxing video. You can find the link in the description below. And it's all there. So I'm going to go through everything here. Thanks to Ray, thanks to The Discriminating Gamer. I'm going to go through with screenshots from that video, and I'm going to go through everything, and I'm going to figure out what this expansion is all about. So let us jump straight into it. Okay, here's the box. Beautiful, absolutely vibrant, stunning artwork. I love it. Let's check out the back of the box. Okay, here we go. Let's zoom in. Dune Imperium Bloodlines. The great houses of the Imperium live and die by their lineage. Plots unfold over generations as emperors build dynasties and the Bene Gesserit weave prophecy into reality. As alliances rise and fall, leaders face a single question. How far will you go to secure your bloodline? Bloodlines expands both Dune Imperium and Uprising with powerful new tools to achieve victory. Recruit Sardaukar Commanders to bolster your fighting force. Okay, this is one of those mystery things. We didn't know what that meant. We're about to find out. Unlock the potential of all new tech tiles, new leaders. We're going to see all of them, contracts and cards. Open more strategic possibilities than ever before. War sweeps across the universe and only the strongest bloodlines will survive. Okay, so we're going to see all the new leaders. We're going to see all the new Imperium cards, all the new Intrigue cards, all of the extra crazy cards. We're going to see it all. Control the spice, control the universe. Okay, so the first thing is we're going to take a look at the rules and figure out what is all this stuff we just looked at. Cool art, by the way. Okay, game components. So let's take a look at this. We've got 32 new Imperium cards. Okay, now some of these are going to be usable depending on what you're doing, right? So this is an expansion for Uprising and an expansion for the original Dune Imperium. And one of the things I've been really curious about is how is that going to work exactly? How much stuff is really just going to be for Uprising and how much can you use for both? So we're going to find out. 32 Imperium cards, 9 leaders, 18 Intrigue cards, 2 conflict cards. Leader specific components. They've got some pretty interesting stuff in this expansion. 10 navigation cards for Steersman Y'rkoon. We've got Tuek siege board space. We'll find out what that's all about for a new leader called Esmar Tuek. We've got a tactics token for Chani. 12 twisted intrigue cards for Peter Devries. So Peter is now a leader in this expansion, and he has his own deck of intrigue cards, believe it or not. Okay, what else we got? Here we go. Sardaukar Commanders. The Emperor's Sardaukar forces are among the strongest fighters in the known universe, and as ruthless as they are loyal. But that loyalty can be purchased from the Emperor for the right price. So we've got these plastic tokens as well as the wooden tokens. That's something they've done basically ever since they released the deluxe upgrade pack, where you can use like little plastic swordsmen instead of your little cubes. So in Uprising and here, they've kind of given you your options. So if you want to use the wooden tokens, you can do that. If you want to use the plastic ones, you can do that. 14 Sardaukar Commander cards. We're going to find out how that works. All right. So we've got some new components, some Imperium cards you only use if you're using the Chom module in Uprising. That's where you get contracts. So you've got new contract tokens. We've got some new techs. We've got some new intrigue cards specific to those things. All right. Setup. When playing with Bloodlines, these steps modify and add to the setup of Dune Imperium Uprising. Okay, Sardaukar Commanders. Here we go. Take the ones you prefer, either the wood or the plastic ones, not both. They're meant to be limited. Place 5 of them on the game board, 1 on each of the following spaces. Sardaukar, dutiful service, deliver supplies, high council, and gather support. Leave room on each space for an agent to be placed there during the game. If you're playing a 4-player game, place a 6th Sardaukar commander on the assembly hall space, otherwise return it to the box. Place the final Sardaukar commander in the bank. It's used with the Imperium card Sardaukar Standard. All right, so you're going to put these commanders on different board spaces. We're going to find out what that means later. Shuffle the 14 Sardaukar commander skills face down and place the stack near the game board. Deal 4 face up. Okay, so we've got a new row of cards, as if we didn't have enough new rows of things in Dune. Between the Imperium row, the tech offer, the Tleilaxu row, we've got more stuff coming at you. Okay, new conflict cards, new Intrigue Imperium cards. Okay. For games with 1 or 2 players, I'm going to ignore the 1 or 2 player stuff today. Okay, when playing with Dune Imperium, so not Uprising. All right, so we're going to put the Sardaukar commanders on different spaces, obviously, since it's different spaces in each version of the game. All right, so we're going to put commanders on Conspire, Wealth, so both Emperor spaces, Fold Space, High Council, and Rally Troops. With 4 players, also put one on Hall of Oratory. Okay, so that's interesting. In step 2, exclude the 2 Fierce Sardaukar commander skills. Okay, so there's certain skills that won't go in. Don't add new conflict cards. Don't put the Chode components. Okay, so there are 5 Intrigue cards, 7 Imperium cards, 3 leader cards that you can't use with the base game. So it seems like a lot of stuff is usable with both, but there's a fair amount of things that you've got to take out if you're not playing with Uprising. If a player uses the Steersman Y'rkoon leader, exclude the navigation card that places or recalls a spy. Okay. Ooh, okay, next. Okay, here we go. Sardaukar Commanders. How does it work? Okay. Bloodlines allows players to recruit a new type of unit, the Emperor's powerful Sardaukar Commanders. Using them. During one of your turns, if you send an agent to a board space that has a Sardaukar commander, you may spend 2 Solari to acquire and then immediately recruit that Sardaukar commander. This is an effect of the space. You may spend 2 Solari for a Sardaukar commander in any order you choose, along with the other board space and card effects. Okay, so it's not a cost of visiting the space. It's once you go to the space, one of the effects of going there is you can pay 2 Solari to get the commander on that space. So this is kind of interesting. So those commanders are limited, right? It's first come, first serve, but you have to have the Solari to pay for them. All right. Whenever you acquire a Sardaukar commander, you gain a Sardaukar commander skill. Choose one of the face-up options and put it in your supply, visible to all players, right? So there's that row of them that's going to be there. You choose one of them, put it in your supply. You cannot choose a copy of a Sardaukar commander skill already in your supply. You can't have doubles. After taking your choice, deal a new one from the stack to replace it. Okay, we'll take a look at those skills in a second. Well, let's take just a quick look now. Okay, so where are they? Here. Okay, these are Sardaukar commander skills. So for example, Driven, reveal turn, get 1 Spice. Charismatic, reveal turn, get 1 Persuasion. Okay, we'll go back just to read how these rules work, but those are some examples of the tiles. Okay, whenever you recruit a Sardaukar commander, you use it in most ways like any other unit. You may place it in your garrison, or if you sent an agent to a combat space this turn, deploy it to the conflict. Later, if it's in your garrison when you send an agent to a combat space, it can be one of the up to 2 units you deploy from your garrison. It is a troop. It counts as a troop, not just a unit. It counts as a troop that's worth 2 strength in the conflict. Okay, so that kind of explains why the Sardaukar commanders are these black cubes. They're just like special troops. Okay. When combat is resolved and rewards have been given, it returns to your supply. Okay, so just like a regular troop after combat, it doesn't go back in your garrison. It's not like a dreadnought. It goes into your supply. Okay. Let's see. I'm going to skip the examples here. You cannot recruit a Sardaukar commander from your supply by normal means. Instead, once per turn, agent or reveal, you may pay 2 Solari to recruit 1 Sardaukar commander from your supply, moving it to your garrison or to the conflict if you visited a combat space. Okay, so once you have that commander and it goes to your supply after you've already used it in a conflict, you can get it back by paying 2 Solari anytime on any agent or reveal turn. That's really interesting. That's really interesting because Solari is one of those resources that you don't always have a way to use it, right? I mean, most resources are like that. Spice, water, they're both kind of like that to an extent. But Solari in particular, sometimes you just have Solari and there's nothing really you can do with it because it's maybe not worth going to one of the spaces where you can spend it. But here, Sardaukar Commanders, it's something you can always do with Solari if you have it. You can recruit it from your garrison. Okay. Sardaukar Commander skills. While you have any number of Sardaukar Commanders in the conflict, the effects of all your Sardaukar Commander skills are active. Each one either gives you a bonus when taking your reveal turn or additional strength when resolving combat. Each one works only once each round, even if you have more than one Sardaukar Commander in the conflict. Okay, so they're troops. They have the same strength as regular troops, which is a little bit weird, right? Sardaukar Commanders should be like better than a normal troop, but whatever. I mean, if a Dreadnought is only one more and a Worm is only one more, I guess I can accept that a Sardaukar Commander is still just 2. Okay. So, but if they're in a conflict, then you get to use all of their skills. While you have any of them in the conflict, the effects of all of your skills are active. Okay, so let's take a look at those skills again. Okay, so you can have any number of these, just no doubles. Okay, so for example, you could have on your reveal, get a spice. On your reveal, get a persuasion. On your reveal, trash this for swords. If any opponent has a sandworm in the conflict, you get you get 1 sword and you get another one if anybody has a worm in there. Okay. If you have an agent on a Lancerad board space, get 2 swords. By the way, you'll notice that the Lancerad spaces in this video are going to be kind of blank. I'm using a green screen effect, and it's the same green as the Lancerad spaces. So that's not some weird new symbol. That's just a green pentagon for the Lancerad. Okay, Hardy, reveal turn, get a troop. Loyal, if you have 3 influence, get 2 swords. Okay, this is really interesting. And again, this is going to work either with Uprising or with the base game. This is something you can do with both. And it seems very cool. So the more commanders you get, the more skills you get, right? Because it seems like the only way you can get a commander skill is by recruiting one from the board. And there are, I think, 5 of them on the board. Is that right? Six. If you're playing a 4-player game, there are 6 of them on the board. Okay. Very interesting. Okay, let's move on. Maybe we'll come back and think about that a little bit more later, but that's interesting. You know what? No, I got to think about it more now. Okay, so I'm going to focus more on the original Dune Imperium than Uprising, mostly in this video, because that's what I'm more familiar with. So I'm really curious to see how this works. Okay, they go on Conspire, Wealth, Fold Space, High Council, and Rally Troops, and Hall of Oratory. So in terms of like the priority of visiting spaces, I mean, Hall of Oratory is obviously the easiest one to visit, right? Wealth and Fold Space being maybe next to that. But you do have to have Solari. The thing is, if you go to Wealth, you get the 2 Solari when you go, and you can immediately use it to buy a commander if you want to. So I guess Wealth, in a way, is the easiest way to get a Sardaukar commander. You could get one round 1, turn 1, if you really want to. It'll be interesting to see if that's a worthwhile strategy. I'm going to say probably not. But, you know, if you can get, where is it? If you can get this charismatic thing, you know, extra persuasion could be nice. But the thing is, once you use it once, you have to re-recruit it with more Solari again. Wealth, Fold Space, Conspire, High Council, and Rally Troops. And Hall of Oratory. Okay, super cool. All right, let's move on to the next part. Okay, so the next part of the rules here is related to techs. Okay, so there's a new tech module in Bloodlines. You can use it with or without the Chom module from Dune Imperium Uprising, and you can use it with Dune Imperium if you want. So there's a new Ixian embassy board. There's new cards, Imperium cards, Intrigue cards, and a leader that specifically goes with it. There's 18 new tech tiles. Okay, so how does this go? Modify your setup as follows. Place the Ixian embassy board next to the game board. Shuffle the 18 tech tiles face down, divide them into 3 stacks of 6. So this is doubling the tech tile. If you use this with the Rise of Ix tiles, you're doubling your tech tiles. Although some of them are, I'm sure, only usable with Uprising. Okay, turn the top tile face up, same as before. In some cases, you may need to exclude certain ones depending on what you're doing. Okay. Certain Intrigue cards, Imperium decks. Okay. So basically, it's just the same kind of setup, 3 stacks of 6 tech tiles, top one being face up. Okay. But acquiring tech tiles might be a little bit different. Okay, the acquire tech icon is the only way to acquire tech tile. The primary way of doing this is shown on the top of the Ixian embassy board. During a turn in which you send an agent to a Landsrad board space, you may acquire 1 tech tile. Okay, so in Rise of Ix, you can go to tech negotiation, you can go to Dreadnought, or the top spot on the shipping track. Those are the way to acquire techs in Rise of Ix, aside from a couple of extra leader abilities or cards or whatever. Here, with this Ixian embassy, anytime you go to any Landsrad space, you can buy a tech. So you go to Hall of Oratory, you can buy a tech. You go to High Council, you can buy a tech. You go to Swordmaster, you can buy a tech. Rally troops, okay. Very interesting. No limit to the number of techs. Okay, so the acquiring techs is the same rules with Rise of Ix. You take one of the top ones and you turn over the next one. Okay, there are 2 means of reducing the cost of a tech tile, but the cost can never be less than 0. 1, the Ixian embassy board. The Ixian embassy board offers a discount. If you have a High Council seat, each tech tile costs you 1 less spice. I like that a lot. I think that is very cool because the High Council seat, particularly in Rise of Ix, I find is like, it's hard to find time or priority to get it. I often feel like the High Council seat is not super worth going for in Rise of Ix. In base game, I think it's better. And in Rise of Ix, I just think there's so many other things you have to manage that it's hard to kind of fit it in. Sometimes it's definitely worth getting for sure. But I like the idea that the High Council seat has a little bit of extra power here. Each tech tile costs you 1 less spice. Okay, cool. Very cool. Tech discount. This icon appears on some cards. It allows you to acquire a single tech at a discount of 1 spice. You may combine this with your discount from the Ixian embassy board for having a High Council seat, but you can't combine the discounts from 2 or more of these icons. Okay, very cool. Very cool. Okay, so let's look at the setup here. Okay, using them, it's the same thing. Some of them have abilities, some of them have passive abilities, some of them have acquire abilities. All right, combining the tech module with Rise of Ix. During setup, you can combine the tech module with the Rise of Ix expansion for more tech tiles. Divide all shuffled tech tiles as evenly as possible into 3 larger stacks, so you're less likely to run out of techs in a pile that way. To use only the tech tiles from Rise of Ix with no other parts of that expansion. So, for example, maybe you want to use the tech tiles from Rise of Ix, but you don't want to use the shipping track or the dreadnoughts and so on. Then basically you just you don't put that overlay on the board, right? But you can still use the techs with the Ixian embassy instead. So it's like kind of an alternate way of playing with techs with base game if you want. If you don't want to use the Rise of Ix way, you can do it this way, which is pretty cool. You know what? I really like that too, because honestly, one of my favorite ways to play in the physical game is with everything from Rise of Ix except techs and shipping. I just take that stuff off sometimes, but put in all the other cards and intrigue cards. It's a really cool way to play. And so this gives you a way to still get the techs in there without the shipping. which is one of the difficult things to do. If you want the text, it's hard to do it without the shipping, because that's kind of one system in a way. So this is a nice way to give people that option. I love the modularity of the physical game that way. Okay, I wonder how that's going to work in digital when they finally put it in. Okay, to use all of the Rise of Ix expansion, do not use the Ixian Embassy board from Bloodlines. Instead, place your 3 tactile stacks on the Ix board as usual. You can use the tech negotiation for discounts, but there's no Ixian Embassy discount for having a High Council seat. All right. If you're using the entire Rise of Ix expansion, you won't be able to place 2 of the Sardaukar Commanders during setup because the Chom board overlay will cover their spaces. Instead, place 1 Sardaukar Commander on Dreadnought and the other on tech negotiation in a 4-player game. I'm like running out of breath. I'm so pumped. I'm so pumped about this. I've been wondering how this is going to work for so long, and it's so exciting to finally get answers to all of this. I hope you're enjoying this. Okay, so let's look at the new text. All right, here is the Ixian Embassy board space. You can see that. The Ixian Embassy board, rather. There's the rules for it. All right, let's get into these texts. Okay, let's look at them one at a time here. Self-destroying messages. 4 spice, get 2 intrigue cards. So that part is just like Chomarchy from Rise of Ix. On reveal turn, get a persuasion. Okay, so that's like, what's the name of that? Mnemic Film. So Mnemic Film costs 2 and just gives you that. This one costs 4, gives you that, and 2 intrigue cards. Interesting. Navigation Chamber, 5 spice, get any influence when you buy it. That's good. Memo Quarters costs 2. So what's the effect here? Board spaces cost you 1 spice less or 1 Solari less. Okay. Again, I'm mostly going to be thinking not about Uprising here, okay? I'm thinking about original Dune Imperium, with or without Rise of Ix and Immortality. Okay, board spaces cost you 1 spice less or 1 Solari less. This is really interesting. So selective breeding costs 1. Okay, Mentat costs 1. Or if you're Leto, it costs 0. 0 for a Mentat. Rally troops costs 3. Dreadnought costs 2. Obviously, Swordmaster, High Council seat. These are all cheaper. So if you can get this early enough, you could end up with some pretty serious savings. Obviously, Hayliner is cheaper. Conspire. This is a really interesting one. Okay, next. Sardaukar High Command. 7 spice, victory point. Recruiting a Sardaukar commander, including when you acquire one, costs you 1 Solari less. Okay. Yeah. Okay, so what they're saying there is recruiting one means when you visit a space that has one sitting there, so the first time you buy it, normally it costs 2 Solari, instead it's going to cost 1. But then also in future rounds or future turns after you've already kind of used up the one you bought, when it's time to pay, usually the rule is on your turn, you can pay 2 Solari to recruit it from your supply. Now it's only going to cost you 1. So you can do that a lot more easily. Okay. Very cool. What's next? Forbidden weapons. 2 spice, blow up the shield wall and get a troop. Okay. Reveal turn. You must choose 3 swords and lose an influence of your choice, or lose all your spice and trash this. So this is forbidden weapons. I love it. People don't like it. It sort of feels weird that you can choose who doesn't like it just thematically, but okay. So this is obviously just for Uprising. It's about the shield wall. This is a very aggressive card, right? Every reveal turn, you're getting 3 swords here. But at a certain point, you might not want to do it. So you can lose all your spice and trash this. And of course, if you have no spice to lose, it's no big deal. Next one, advanced data analysis, 3 spice. To acquire this, you must trash one of your spies from the board. Okay, so again, Uprising only. You can use this tech to get an intrigue card. Whoa! Whoa! 1 intrigue card every round. That's pretty massive. Ornithopter fleet, 4 spice, get 2 troops. All of your battle icons are ornithopters. Okay, so battle icons in Uprising, when you win a conflict, it has a little symbol on it. I forget how many there are, 3 or 4 different ones. And if you match 2 of the same one, you flip them over and you get a victory point. So this is going to help you collect victory points out of conflicts. Very interesting. Panopticon, 5 spice. On your reveal turn, place a spy, get a troop. Okay, that's good. Endgame, gain 1 influence with each faction where you have 1 or less influence. Gain 1 influence with each faction where you have 1 or less influence. Okay, I figured it out. I was like, what does that do if you have less than 1 influence? Okay, if you have less than 1 influence, in other words, 0, it doesn't really do anything. But it can help you collect those points you weren't able to get, right? So if you're sitting at 1 influence on a couple of factions, which happens at the end of the game, this is going to help you get those points right at the end. So that's pretty nice. It can be nice. It's very situational, obviously. But the reveal turn thing, I think, is pretty good on its own. And this is kind of an interesting bonus. And the 2 of them together maybe is worth the 5. Okay, spy drones. Okay, wait. I think we missed some rules here. Right. Okay, so before we get to the spy drones, let's take a look at other new gameplay over here. Okay, spy with deep cover. Again, this is an Uprising only thing, obviously, because it has to do with spies. This icon allows you to place a spy using the normal rules. However, you also have the option to ignore any opponent's spies when you place it. You can't place the spy where you already have a spy of your own. Okay, so it's like infiltrate for spies, basically. Okay, so it lets you put a spy somewhere where somebody else has a spy. Very good. Command. Several Imperium cards include command in their reveal box. In a reveal turn, you use the effect that follows if you generate 6 persuasion or more. Okay, so here's an example. It's pretty hard to see here. We'll see some examples later, but basically, I think the example here is this card. Okay, here's what it says. When you reveal I believe, if you generate 6 persuasion or more during that reveal turn, including the one on I believe itself, you recruit 2 troops. Okay, so I really like this. I really like this. This is another kind of way to encourage maybe a high council seat play where you're going to get extra power for having more persuasion when you reveal. So you're going to unlock extra power if you reveal with 6 or more persuasion. Very cool. Okay, and we'll see some cards with that ability later when we look at all of the new Imperium cards. Combat. This icon, which previously appeared in the Immortality expansion, allows you to deploy troops to the conflict as though you'd sent an agent to a combat space. You may deploy any units you recruit this turn and up to 2 more from your garrison. Okay. Right. So yeah, this was on a couple of cards in Immortality, and it basically means that you can treat this turn as though you visited a combat space, even if you didn't. So, for example, let's say in base game, you go to rally troops. You recruit 4 troops, but you can't deploy them because it's not a combat space. Well, if you happen to play a card with this combat symbol on it, then it's treated as a combat space and you can. Okay. And you can use it on a reveal turn as well, apparently. It doesn't have to be just when you visit a space. It's just like this turn, act as though you visited a combat space. Great. Wild battle icon. Okay, in Dune Imperium Uprising, there was only 1 wild battle icon available. So the rules stated that during the endgame, you would match it with one of the 3 other battle icons in your supply. Bloodlines adds more wild battle icons requiring clarification. Okay. During the endgame, you may match a wild battle icon with any other battle icon in your supply, one of the 3 standard ones, or a second wild one. Okay, that seems pretty straightforward, but I guess technically the wording was weird. Okay, so now that we know about this, right? So this is the deep cover spy. So spy drones for 5 spice. You can place 2 spies, both with deep cover. So you can put them wherever you want, even if an opponent has a spy there, but not if you do. And then later you can use the tech to get 1 Solari. And if you recall to spy this turn, trash a card. Okay. Interesting, I guess. Chome transports 6 spice, get a contract. When you complete a contract, draw a card, and at the end game, worth 1 victory point if you have completed 4 or more contracts. Okay, very cool. Seems like a pretty logical type of card to exist. All right, we've got some more here. So just taking a look at these texts. No, let's keep going. All right, these ones are a little bit lower res, but I think it's still fine. Training Depot, 1 spice on your reveal turn, command 2 swords. So if you reveal 6 or more persuasion, 2 swords, otherwise nothing. So this is kind of interesting when you compare it to, I forget the name of the tech in Rise of Ix, where it costs 1 and it gives you a bonus sword for each card that you reveal that has swords on it. You know, artillery, I think it is. And it's like, sometimes you get a sword out of it. Sometimes you get 3 swords out of it, but sometimes you also get no swords out of it. And this is kind of similar. Sometimes you're not going to get anything out of it, but other times you will. And maybe it's, you know, I don't know if it's more consistent or not, but it gives you an alternate way of doing it. For 1 spice, I think that's pretty interesting. Gene Locked Vault. Okay, 2 spice, get an intrigue card or draw a card. Again, this is green. Okay, my green screen effect is kind of taking it out, but that's just draw a card. So for 2 spice, get an intrigue card or draw a card. Your intrigue cards can't be stolen unless you have 5 or more. I love it. I love it. That's the kind of thing that just excites me. It's just like, we're going to break the rules for you on this. And that's really fun. That's really fun. Because, you know, collecting intrigue cards, that 4 card limit, or rather the 3 card intrigue card limit, you know, it's great. It's great. I have no complaints about it. It's a brilliant rule. It creates a lot of tension and interesting decision making. But getting this, you can now have 4. All right. So it ups your max intrigue card value by 1. You can now have 4 safely. Love it. Glow globes, 2 spice. Okay, get an influence anywhere. That's already pretty good right there. Sometimes memo quarters is good enough just for that. You may look at the top card of your deck at any time. Okay, so it gives you Paul's prescience ability from the original Dune Imperium's Paul ability. That's, you know what? It's interesting. I do think that Paul's ability is underrated. The ability to always know what the top card of your deck is can be really, really helpful. It helps you plan out your turn. It helps you better manage your odds. You know, a lot of the time in the game, it's like, okay, should I go to Y'rkoon? It's like, well, I've got a 3 out of 7 chance to draw this. And if I do, then, you know, I'm screwed. Well, if I just know what the top card is, it makes those kinds of decisions a lot easier, and it allows you to make plays you otherwise couldn't because they'd be too risky. So I'm very interested in that. And again, the single influence is kind of worth it just by itself. Okay, planetary array. 2 spice, trash a card. When you win a conflict, draw a card. Cool. Servo receivers, 2 spice, activate your signet ring. I love bonus signet ring stuff. It just seems fun. Your signet ring has the following icons. Okay, so that makes your signet ring way better, obviously. So that's a really fun one. You get to activate your signet ring for 2 spice. So like if you're Memnon, you go here, you buy this for 2 spice, you get a spice back. And you know what I love about this is it makes it different for every leader. I mean, obviously, right? But that's kind of unique because most techs, they might be variable in terms of their desirability for different leaders, but this makes it quite different, right? You know, Leto can go here and go up on the influence track, you know? Very interesting. And then your signet ring can go to the faction spaces. Super cool. Delivery bay, 3 spice, draw a card. On your reveal turn, if you have command, get 2 Solari. I mean, for 3 spice, getting 2 Solari every round potentially is pretty interesting. So compared to Freighter Fleet in Rise of Ix, which costs 6 spice, and at the start of every round you get 2 Solari. This is at best at the end of every round you get 2 Solari, but 3 spice. Very cool. Okay. Plasteel Blades, 3 spice, get 4 Solari. Okay, this just right there alone. Let's just think about that for a second. When you're playing with these, especially in Rise of Ix, getting Solari can be a bit weird sometimes, right? You can be a little bit stuck in terms of finding it. So, because there's no Sel Melange, right, with Rise of Ix. Okay, Plasteel Blades, you can trade in 3 spice for 4 Solari. There are times when that's going to be really desirable, right? You're like, how do I get my Swordmaster? Boom, here's a way to do it. Whenever you recruit a Sardaukar Commander, trash this, gain an additional Sardaukar Commander skill. Okay. That's pretty cool. Okay, again, let's take a look at those skills. Where are they? Where are they? Here. So normally when you get a Sardaukar Commander, again, they're sitting on the board in certain spaces. When you visit the space, you can pay 2 Solari, take that Sardaukar Commander, and choose one of the skills. There are 4 skills face up. You choose one. With that tech, you choose 2, and they can be pretty nice. I mean, look at this. Get a troop on reveal, get a spice on reveal, if you have a troop in the conflict. Okay. Very cool. Well, we're not there yet. Here we are. I'm so excited. Suspenser Suits, 3 spice. For each intrigue card you draw or steal during your turn, get a troop and deploy it to the conflict. Huh. That's interesting. So, for example, if you have a card like Peter Devries, where you get an intrigue card when you play him, boom, you just throw a troop into the conflict. Going to Secrets puts a troop into the conflict. I mean, that makes Secrets a much better space. Getting the Bene Gesserit Alliance with Secrets puts 2 troops into the conflict. If you have this tech, and then you go ahead and buy this tech after that, 2 troops into the conflict. Okay, it's interesting. I don't know, like it's a kind of roundabout thing. I'm not sure how easy it'll be to trigger, but it's interesting. Next one, Rapid Dropships, 4 spice, get 2 troops. On an agent turn, you can use this to activate combat. So again, that means you can treat your turn as though you visited a combat space. So for example, let's say you went to tech negotiation to buy this rapid dropships. You paid 3 spice, you got 2 troops. You could immediately use this tech to put those troops into the conflict if you want. Okay, well, all of those techs are cool, I gotta say. Now, how many of them are Uprising only? So there's 18 techs. One, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Okay, so 6 out of 18 can only be used with Uprising. That seems pretty decent to me. That still gives you a lot of stuff to do, even if you're just playing with the original game. Okay. Wow. Awesome. Okay, so that's techs. Now, okay, I just got excited for a second. Here are the new contracts to use with Uprising. I'm not going to talk about them too much. You can just take a look at them if you want. Again, I haven't really played Uprising too much, but you've got some deep cover spy action over here. This one looks really interesting. Going to the High Council lets you recall an agent. So recall an agent means like the agent that you just used, you just get it back. So you're going to get an extra agent this turn. More encouragement to visit the High Council. Very cool. Okay. Now, here's more very exciting stuff. New leaders. There are 9 new leaders in Bloodlines. That's more than there were in the original Dune Imperium. 9 new leaders. And we've got all of the details, my friends. Okay, let's take a look. We're going to first look at the leaders that can be used in both Uprising and original Dune Imperium. Then we're going to look at the leaders that are more restrictive, that can only be used in Uprising. All right, let's take a look. Esmar Tuek. Okay, one complication or complexity, whatever it's called. Okay, 2x Siege is his passive. Whenever you send an agent to 2x Siege. Okay, before we even get into that, here's 2x Siege. All right, so how does this work? During setup, place the 2x Siege board space near the game board. It is a maker board space and accumulates spice accordingly. So if you're playing with Esmar Tuek, there's an extra space on the board. An extra space. It doesn't replace something. It's just an extra maker space. That is very interesting. Okay, so let's go back here. By the way, it's a cool space. Get a spice or a card. So it's an improved Imperial Basin, right? Imperial Basin is 1 spice. This is 1 spice or draw a card and then still collect whatever's there. Whenever you send an agent to 2x each, get 1 Solari. Okay, so that's a good space for 2x to go, not surprisingly. Whenever an opponent sends an agent there, get an Intrigue card. So that's very cool because it's a good space for you. So you might think, oh, the opponents will take it and block you. Oh yeah, well if they do, they're giving you an Intrigue card. All right, Signet Ring, Smuggle Spice. Place 1 bonus spice on 2x Siege. Or take 1 bonus spice from a maker board space. So this is, okay, the first part, place 1 bonus spice on 2x Siege. Okay, that's interesting. And it interacts with this in a very fun way because it sort of dares your opponents like, are you going to take it? Are you going to take it? And if they do, they're giving you an Intrigue card. And if they don't, you're going to get it later. Okay. Or take 1 bonus spice from a maker board space. So the bonus spice is the spice that collects here if no one visits it during a round. You can take it from any of them. So probably you're not going to take it from 2x each because you want to go there. But you can just, I'll just take this bonus spice off of the Great Flat. I'll just take this bonus spice off of Haga Basin. Very cool. Here's a clarification about the Signet Ring. Using your Signet Ring, you may place a bonus spice on 2x each and then gain it using the agent you set there all in the same turn. Yeah, right, because the Signet Ring is one of the effects of going to the space. One of the other effects is collecting the spice, and you can do them in whatever order you want. So if you send your Signet Ring to 2x Siege, you would get 1 Solari from this. You would get, if you do this, you'd get 1 bonus spice from here, and then you get either another spice or a card. Pretty good. All right, very cool. That's Esmar Tuek. All right, now let's take a look at Peter Devries, who is now a leader. 2-level complexity, House Harkonnen. All right, this guy is interesting. Twisted Genius. Game start. Shuffle the Twisted Intrigue deck and place it down near you. Round start, draw a Twisted Intrigue card. These count as Intrigue cards and can be stolen. Okay, and let's look at the Signet Ring real quick, and then we'll take a look at these Intrigue cards. Signet Ring, get a troop. You can't deploy this troop to the conflict this turn. Okay, that's interesting. But you can still deploy any others you gain. So if you send your Signet Ring to Carthag, for example, you would be able to deploy 3 troops. You would get this troop added to your garrison. You would gain the troop from Carthag, and you could put in that one plus up to 2 more as long as it's not this one you just gained. Okay, so it's a bonus troop. You just can't deploy it. So it's not as good as the Beast's Signet Ring, but it's not bad. Okay, Twisted Genius. Let's take a look at these Intrigue cards. Okay, so first of all, how many are there? 2, 4, 6, 8, 10, 12. There are 12 Twisted Intrigue cards. So you shuffle them all up. You create that deck at the start of the game. It's just for you. And at the start of the round, you're going to draw one. You're getting a free Intrigue card every round. Okay, now, are they good? Let's see. Ambitious. You can lose 3 of your troops to gain 1 influence with a faction where an opponent has more influence than you. Okay, so that's good, but you can tell it's like a little bit weaker than a normal Intrigue card would be. Okay, calculating. For each type of unit you have in the conflict, gain a Solari. Oh, okay, so types of units would be troops, Sardaukar Commanders, Dreadnoughts. Do worms count as units? I assume they do, but I'm not sure. Okay. Interesting. Withdrawn at the start of your turn, pass your turn. Okay. So again, that's like a weaker version of Bindu Suspension. Unnatural. Trash an Intrigue card to gain an Intrigue card. If you trashed a non-twisted Intrigue card, get a troop. Okay. So you have to pay this card and then trash another one. So it's basically trading like a 2-for-1, but you can get rid of your twisted Intrigue cards for real Intrigue cards if you want. And if otherwise, you can get rid of a real Intrigue card and get a troop. Okay. Resourceful. The card you play this turn has the following icons. Again, this is a Lance Rat icon here. This is green. Sadistic. Lose one of your troops to draw a card. Okay. Again, weaker than a normal Intrigue card, but for free. I mean, these are great effects to just every round you get one of these for free. Discerning, discard a card to draw a card, or if you have an alliance, just draw a card. Devious, trash a card from your hand, or deploy up to 2 troops from your garrison to the conflict. Okay. Insidious, give an opponent an Intrigue card from your hand. Wait a minute. Give an opponent an Intrigue card from your hand in order to gain a spice. And if you gave them a non-twisted Intrigue card plus 1 spice, how do you prove that? So this seems weird to me because do these have a different back? I would think that they would have the same Intrigue back so people don't know like what you have. But how do you prove that you gave them a non-twisted Intrigue card? I might have to double check the video and see if it showed the backs of these things. Like, do you both have to just agree and tell everyone, oh yeah, he gave me a non-twisted Intrigue card? Okay. Still, give an opponent an Intrigue card from your hand to get spice is really funny. But it's like, you got to pay this one and then lose another one. But honestly, maybe that's good, right? Because your hand is going to be like piling up. So Peter might really want that tech. The Intrigue cards can't be stolen unless you have 5 or more. That's going to be a great card for Peter Devries. Okay, controlled. Look at the top card of your deck. You may put it back, discard it, or spend a Solari to draw it. Nice. Or get 1 sword. Love it. I just can't wait for the time when somebody wins like a 2-point battle for Y'rkoon with 1 sword. Oh, it's going to feel hilarious. Sinister, lose 2 of your troops to get an Intrigue card on a Solari. Okay. Shrewd, lose 1 of your troops in the conflict to get a spice. I really like this leader. Okay. And I'm not talking power level. That's not what makes me like a leader. What makes me like them is, do they seem interesting? And this guy seems really interesting. Maybe he's super powerful. Maybe he sucks. I don't know. We'll wait and see. But free Intrigue card every round? Amazing. I love that. All right. Now, look at this crazy leader. Steersman Y'rkoon. Look at the art on this. I don't even know what I'm looking at. I don't even really know what I'm looking at. I guess the steersman is in here. The guild steersmen. They're these like crazy, not even really human anymore, but originally human, who spend their entire lives inside these tanks full of spice gas in order to allow them to see into the future, to predict which paths are safe to travel at faster than light speeds. They don't have computers in this world, so they need people to live in tanks of spice gas so that they can fly around. Okay, let's take a look at this. Strange form. You start the game with no water and without Signet Ring in your deck. No Signet Ring for you. Hungry for spice. Whenever you gain 3 spice or more in a single turn, draw a card. Okay. That's pretty interesting. I love the theme of it. I love the theme of it. All right. Now look at this craziness. So there's no Signet Ring. Instead, there's this plot course. Game start. Shuffle the navigation cards and draw a hand of 5. Okay, we're going to look at all these cards after. There they are. Draw a hand of 5. Choose 4 to place face down above in any order. So here are the spots. You put them face down up here in any order. Return all others to the box. Whenever you reach 2 influence with a faction, play the next navigation card above, starting from the left. Whenever you reach 2 influence with a faction, play your navigation card, starting from the left. Okay. And it says here in this clarification, okay, you can look at your face down cards at any time. By losing and regaining influence, it may be possible to reach 2 influence with the same faction more than once, playing a navigation card each time. So this is not like Tessia, where you have the snooper tokens on the space, and once you get there, it's gone. It doesn't matter. Just anytime you reach 2 influence, whether it's the first time you've done it or the second time you've done it on that same space, you get to trigger one of these cards. Okay, so again, shuffle them, draw a hand of 5, and choose 4. So you're going to choose 4 at the start of the game, putting them down in order. They're going to trigger in order whenever you get 2 influence with a faction somewhere. So let's take a look at them. Okay, here they are. So there are 10 cards. You're going to have access to 4. Well, you're going to have 5 to choose from, and then you're going to choose 4. Okay. Get a troop or pay 3 Solari to get 3 troops. Okay. Draw a card or pay 5 Solari for a victory point. Okay. So you're probably not going to want to put that one early, right? You're probably going to want to put this one like later when you have spice saved up. I like this already. Okay. Lose an influence to gain an influence. All right. Get a spice, or if this is in navigation slot 1, pay a water to acquire the spice must flow. In other words, pay a water to get a victory point. But it has to be in navigation slot 1. Okay, so you put it in navigation slot 1, and you got to make sure that whenever you get to 2 influence somewhere, you have a water on hand. But if you do, acquire spice must flow. I mean, that seems incredible. Now, obviously, doing it early kind of clogs up your deck with that spice must flow. So it's, you know, it's not as good as just getting a victory point. But wow. Okay, trash a card. If you trash a card that costs 1 persuasion or more, get 2 spice. Okay, I like that I like putting that early, right? You put that early, you get rid of a reconnaissance or something and get 2 spice. All right, over here, get a water. If you played this as a result of reaching 2 influence with the Spacing Guild, get a spice as well. So it's going to require like kind of intricate planning. You got to steer your course. You got to look into the future and steer your course through it. God, these guys are geniuses. Paul Dennen is a genius, okay? This is the man who's designed these incredible games. I know he has help, but his name's on the box. 2 Solari. If this is in navigation slot 4, for the rest of the game during each of your reveal turns, get a persuasion. Okay. Wow. Okay, next one. 1 spice. If you have an alliance, get an intrigue card. 1 spice, or pay 2 Solari, gain 1 influence with a different faction where you have 2+ influence. So you just gain 2 influence somewhere to get this card. You can pay 2 Solari to get an influence somewhere else if you already have 2 influence there. Okay, so that's going to help you get an alliance or maybe trigger plans within plans or memo quarters. All right, last one. This is the only one that's only good for Uprising, which is nice. Put a spy somewhere or recall a spy to get an intrigue card and 2 spice. Okay, this guy is really, really interesting. The only thing that worries me about this is that it's going to, like, at the start of the game, I can just imagine somebody, they shuffle up their things, they draw their 5 cards, and then it takes them like 10 minutes to figure out, like me, this is me, by the way, I'm thinking about me. It takes me 10 minutes to figure out, should I put this one in slot 1, this one in slot 2? Oh, maybe I should put this one in slot 1. That's going to be, like, that's a lot to have to figure out right at the beginning of the game. You know, like there's the Hundro thing where you pick between 2 intrigue cards. That's not a big deal. There's the Baron thing where you pick your factions. Well, in Rise of Ix, that's automatic, basically. In base game, there's a bit of thought involved. You know, Elisa Ikaz has to think about her card every round, but this is a lot of upfront thinking. So people are going to have to be patient with the Steersman Y'rkoon player. Wow. Super cool. Okay, now let's take a look at the remaining 6 leaders here. Again, 9 leaders in this expansion. Amazing. All right, so over on the left, we have the leaders that can be used with the original game. One of them with, as long as you're using techs, and the 3 over here can only be used with Uprising, really. So let's go over here and we'll start with Duncan, Idaho. I hate seeing these actors on these cards. Okay, Duncan, Idaho, House Atreides, 1 level complexity. Ginaz, Swordmaster. The Swordmaster board space costs you 2 less. That is very nice. That is very nice, and it's a nice, simple ability, but it's great. Swordmaster costs you 2 less? Okay, so let's just think about that. In base game, you could go to secure contract twice. Boom, you're set for Swordmaster. You could get 2 spice from Haga Basin, sell Melange. You've got 6 spice. That's good enough for Swordmaster. You don't need anything else. Obviously, you go to Wealth 3 times. You could go to Conspire once, and then one of the other things once, which you could kind of already do. But wow. Okay, that's great. Signet Ring, into the fray. You may take, let me zoom in here. You may take the agent icon you sent, you may take the agent you sent this turn and deploy it to the conflict as a 2 strength unit that can't be retreated. If you have your Swordmaster, it has 3 strength instead. Okay, now this is one of the cards that was previously revealed, so I have seen this before, but oh man, it's so cool. It's so cool. Take the agent you sent this turn. Okay, so let's say you send your Signet Ring to Y'rkoon. Okay, you get your troop, you put your 3 troops in, boom. You can also take the agent and put it into the conflict. So you take it off of Y'rkoon, you put it into the conflict, and it's an extra troop. So you can put in 8 strength from Y'rkoon that way. Just as good as Hardy Warriors. That's so cool. Now, of course, it has the additional effect of leaving Y'rkoon open for somebody else to go to, right? Because your agent comes off of there. But I love it. I love that. I just think it's interesting. Again, I'm not talking I love it because, oh, I think it's going to be strong. That's not how I work. I love it because it's fucking cool. All right. That's Duncan, Idaho. Chani. What is going on with Chani? Okay, again, I hate seeing these actors and actresses. I'd rather they just did original artwork, but that's the world we live in. Okay. Tactician. Whenever you retreat or lose any number of troops from the conflict, advance your tactics token that many spaces, earning rewards as you reach them. Reset the token after reaching the end of the track. Okay, here's how that works. During setup, place the tactics token. It's just like a beige cube that comes with the game. On the track printed on the leader up here, in the space corresponding to the number of players. So in a regular game, it's going to go right here on this 1 to 4 player token. It's going to start there. Okay. So it starts here. Whenever you retreat or lose any number of troops from the conflict, it's such a weird condition, but it matches her Signet Ring as well as the Chani card. Advance your tactics token that many spaces. So so it's the number of troops you retreat. So if I retreat 3 troops, I advance 1, 2, 3 spaces. I collect a spice. Okay. Once I get to the end of the track, it resets back to here. All right. If you lose or retreat enough troops that you would pass the end of the track, you still reset at the starting space. Okay, so you don't get to like run back up the score. You just go back to the beginning. Signet Ring, Fide can maneuver, retreat any number of your troops. Okay, so like, let's just make a crazy example. Let's say you send an agent to Hayliner, you throw in 7 troops. Okay. Then maybe somebody infiltrates you on Hayliner and they throw in more troops. And you're like, oh, God damn it, I'm going to lose this. Signet Ring, retreat any number, all 7, back into the garrison. And then you would go boop, 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 move up along that track, getting your rewards. Now, the rewards are like, okay, a spice and a water, but I don't know. How many troops can you really retreat? It's an interesting idea. To me, this is like, I'm not that excited about this one. It doesn't seem that cool to me. Whether it's good, I don't know. Okay, the other option with your Signet Ring, if you have 2 influence, you can pay a water to draw 2 cards. I mean, that is good right there. I like drawing cards. It's a mini research station. I mean, it's more efficient than a research station, right? Research station is 2 water for 3 cards. This is 1 water for 2. So that's cool. All right, that's Chani. Now, Kota Odax of Ix. Love the art. Again, this is like original art, so I like it a lot better. You can only use her if you're playing with techs. Let's see. Game start. Peek. I love this term, peek. Not look at, peek. Peek at the bottom tech tile of each stack. Place 1 face down here. Okay, so you get to like take one of them. Whenever you could acquire a tech tile, you may choose this one. It costs 1 spice less. That is awesome. That is really cool. You get your choice of 3 tech tiles at the start of the game. And you can set yourself up to pick that one up. You could get like an early cheap one or get an expensive one and know about it. Know that no one else is going to be able to take it from you. Build yourself up, get it at a discount. Additionally, you know the other 2 that you didn't take. So I don't know if this is like a major benefit, but it does tell you like what's at the bottom of the other tech stacks. But I love that secret project. Okay, Signet Ring, reverse engineering, get a spice. Okay, so it's a new Memnon. Or trash one of your tech tiles to get an intrigue card and draw a card. Huh. That's interesting. I mean, the spice is obviously good and it's obviously going to help you buy your tech. So that's a pretty cool leader. I like that. Okay, so usable with Uprising if you're using the tech module, or usable with Rise of Ix. All right, let's take a look at the Uprising exclusive leaders here. Liet Kynes is now a leader, 3 complexity. Let's take a look. Arrakis Planetologist. Ignore the influence requirement of Siege Tabber. Okay, ignore it. You can just go there from the start of the game. You summon no sandworms. For each one you would summon, instead, trash a card, get a spice, draw an intrigue card, even when the conflict is protected by the shield wall. Okay. Okay, again, I'm not really an Uprising player. I've only played it a couple of times, so I can't really react too much to this, but I like that they're playing around with the rules here. A leader that doesn't get sandworms, instead you get this. And being able to go to Siege Tabber from the beginning. Okay, Signet Ring, Judge of the Change. If you sent an agent this turn to a Landsrad space, again, this is green, don't worry about it. If you have 2 Emperor influence, get a water. If it's a city space, get a Solari. If it's a spice trade space, get a spice. Huh. Okay, that's pretty nice. So you kind of have some agency about what resource you want to get. You can get Solari from a city, spice from a spice trade. or if you have Emperor Influence Water from Landsrat. Okay, very cool. All right, next. Gaius Helen Mohiam, who is now a leader at 3 complexity. All right, let's take a look. Clandestine. Each card you play has the spy icon. Okay, and what that means in Uprising is if you have the spy agent icon, it means that you can send that agent to anywhere where you have a spy. Okay, so if you have a spy, let's say on a guild space, and you want to use a card to go to a guild space, you can have the guild icon or you can have the spy icon and it'll get you there. Whenever you could recall a spy to gather intelligence, you must. Okay. Gather intelligence. What that means is when you recall a spy, you have a choice. You either gather intelligence, which means, I think it means draw a card. So in other words, when you send an agent to a space that has one of your spies on it, you have the option of what's called gather intelligence, where you take the spy off and draw a card. And this says you have to do that. Okay. So it's like maybe a balancing thing. Otherwise you could just have like every card you could just build up your spy network and just go everywhere. So I kind of like that. But every card being able to go anywhere you have a spy icon is pretty interesting. It's like your signet ring. You could send it to, a faction space or something. Okay, listeners. Signet ring is called listeners. Put a spy on a Landsrat space or pay a spice to put a spy anywhere. Okay, so she's a spy character. No surprise there. Count Hasimir Fenring. 2 complexity. All right, assassin. Whenever you trash a card, get a Solari. Okay. Signet ring, Carino liaison. You may trash a card in your play area, or put a spy on an emperor space with deep cover. So even if the enemies have spies there, you can still do it. Okay. So this guy is like good at trashing, obviously. I suppose technically you could use him in original Dune Imperium. He would be less powerful because you wouldn't have this option, but you could just use him as like a trash engine if you wanted to. Interesting, but probably you wouldn't want to. And a clarification, you do not gain Solari when trashing an intrigue card. Okay, only, I don't know what you call them. Imperium cards, supply cards. Imperium cards. Yeah, they're Imperium cards. Okay. I think, right? Your starting cards still count as Imperium cards, do they? Anyway, we all know what it means. Okay. So that's all the leaders. Oh my God, look at these leaders. So again, I mean, I've given you my impressions so far. For me, the most interesting ones are definitely like these wild things. Esmar Tuek. This just seems like a really cool kind of play pattern and introduces an interesting kind of dynamic to the game. Peter Devries, awesome. Give me those intrigues. And Steersman Y'rkoon, like just wild. Just what an interesting concept. It'll be, yeah, I'm curious to see how it actually plays out. Like it seems as though it's almost from a different game, just like the style, the art, the iconography. In practice, it might not feel that crazy to play, but I just think that's really cool. And then these ones, yeah, I think Duncan and Kota are probably the ones that I'm most excited about here. But yeah, let me know what you think, by the way. I'm all along here. Please let me know in the comments, like, what are your reactions? Even if it's just like, oh my God, this card or that thing seems crazy. Like, I want to see what you're thinking as we go through this. Okay, let's get to the new Imperium cards. This is very exciting. One of the best things I think about any new expansion is the new Imperium card. Just the extra variability it adds to that Imperium row, the different ways that your deck ends up getting built. It's like, for me, the coolest thing about any of the expansions, really. So let's take a look. I'm just going to zoom out here to show you kind of like what there is. So here's all of them. The ones above the line can be used in everything. The middle one here can only be used if you're dealing with techs, and the ones at the bottom here can only be used with Uprising. So it gives you an idea of the proportions here. So it's not bad. You're going to get some new stuff for original Dune Imperium. But obviously, for Uprising, you're going to get a lot more. I mean, that's just the theme with this expansion. It's an expansion for Uprising, but there's a lot of stuff you can add to the original game as well. So let's take a look at those first. All right. We'll go through them, and I may get some reactions here. Okay, 1 cost cards, Bombast. It's an Emperor card. Again, that's a Landsrad space there. No agent ability. Okay. But it reveals for 1, command 3 Solari and trash this card. Again, command if you have 6 persuasion or more. That's interesting. It kind of like, it replaces a dagger in an interesting way. Instead of giving swords, it gives persuasion, and you can get Solari out of it if you get enough persuasion and trash it. So like, that's nice. Actually, the self trash on that is pretty cool. Okay. Sandwalk. Freeman card for 1 goes to desert, spice trade. If you gained 2 spice or more this turn, draw a card. Okay. I mean, that's pretty good right there. Like if you send that to Imperial Basin that has an extra bit on it, or, 2x Siege or Haga Basin or Great Flat, obviously, just draw a card. Pretty nice for 1. Or even with Rise of Ix, if you activate shipping, you can get the spice and draw a card that way. Reveals for, okay, very good. Disruption Tactics, Freeman for 2. Freeman, Spice Trade. That's what this is technically called. Force an enemy troop to retreat. I think that's a pretty interesting ability on a card that costs 2. Reveal for persuasion. And if you want, you can trash this card to make it a combat space. Okay, this I think is pretty nice because early on, it might just help you win a conflict here and there, or like just screw somebody out of like not getting any combat rewards if they've just like put in 1 troop. But later, it can create a major deployment. Okay. Urgent Shigawire, Bene Gesserit for 2. Okay, Bene Gesserit in City. The next Bene Gesserit card you play this round has all agent icons, and added to its agent box, draw a card. Okay, so to be clear, again, this is draw a card here. This draw card does not come from the Urgent Shigawire. It's going to be put onto the next Bene Gesserit card you play. So it just beefs up your next Bene Gesserit card. It can go anywhere, and you'll draw a card when you do it. Very interesting. Shigawire, by the way, in Dune is like super, super thin microfilament that's used for data, for sending messages, for storing messages. But it's also used as like a kind of garrote. You can just like slice people up with it. This one seems to be the message variety. Very cool. Love new Bene Gesserit cards. Okay, next, Command Center. Emperor for 3. Emperor and City. If you have 2 Emperor's Influence, get a troop. Okay. I mean, that's not bad at all. That's not bad at all. Okay, Reveal for Persuasion and retreat 2 troops for 2 more Persuasion. So I think we're going to see more kind of retreat abilities in this expansion that's going to make like Chani, for example, make a bit more sense. Next one, Engineered Miracle. All right, Bene Gesserit for 3, but it goes to Freeman or Spice Trade. You can discard a card to get a water. Okay. Gets a persuasion. If you have command, which is 6 or more persuasion, trash this card, acquire a card from the, whoa, trash this card to acquire a card from the Imperium row. Huh. Okay. So now you have to already have 6 persuasion, but like, you know, let's say, for example, there's a treachery that costs 6, and there's like a Kwisatz Haderach that costs 8. Well, if you get 6 persuasion with this, you can buy the treachery and you can trash this to also get the Kwisatz Haderach. Very interesting. I believe that was the card in the rule books. Freeman for 3, Freeman and City. You can discard a card to draw a card. Nice to see a bit more discarding stuff in here. Reveal for Persuasion, command 2 troops. Okay, pretty nice. Litany against Fear. Okay. 3 Persuasion, Bene Gesserit. Notice this, it has no agent icons. At the start of your turn, put this card into play, draw a card, and pass your turn. Oh, it's a Bene Gesserit combo enabler. That is awesome. That is awesome. At the start of your turn, put this card into play, draw a card, and pass your turn. So it gets you a Bene Gesserit card in play, and it doesn't cost you an agent, and it draws you a card. Wow. That is genius design. I love it. Also reveals for 2 Persuasion if you need it. All right. I'm starting to lose my voice here. I'm so pumped. Elite Forces, Emperor Spacing Guild for 3, goes to Emperor, goes to Guild. That's nice for 3. You may trash a card from your hand. If you trash an Emperor card, get an Intrigue card, a troop, and make it a combat. Activate combat space. Be able to deploy, in other words. If you trash an Emperor card, okay, well, I mean, there are, I think, more cards that have these sorts of tags. Like, look at these. All of these cards have tags so far. You know, in base game, a lot of cards didn't have any like faction tags at all. But we've got a few here, like Bombast Emperor, Command Center Emperor. You could trash this thing. There's more coming up. Okay. Freeman War Name. Look at this. 4, Freeman Spice Trade. If you gained 2 spice or more this turn, get a troop and a card. Okay, so once again, you know, harvesting spice with this is going to get you some bonuses. Pretty cool. You can also do it other ways. All right. Persuasion, Freeman Bond for combat. Sardaukar Standard for Persuasion. Emperor and City. When this card is trashed, acquire and recruit the Sardaukar Commander in the bank. Okay, remember in the rules they said there's going to be an extra one sitting in the bank? This is how you get it when you trash this card. So if you can get these 2, right, this Elite Forces, and then you can use that to trash the Sardaukar Standard, that's pretty cool. Reveal 2 Persuasion and a troop. I mean, that's not bad either. Very interesting. Quat Rebellion. 5, Emperor, Guild, Landsrad. Okay, 2 Solari, nice. Reveal if you 2 swords, and if you have 1 or more Sardaukar commanders in the conflict, also get 2 Persuasion. Okay. Is it quashing a rebellion to just get Solari? I don't know. The theme on this one seems a bit weak. Okay. Southern Faith. Okay, 5, Bene Gesserit and Freeman goes to Freeman and City. A lot of cards go to Freeman and City, I've noticed. I guess that makes sense, but okay, draw a card, or if you have another Bene Gesserit card in play, get an influence with the Bene Gesserit. Cool. There's a command to add some spice. Okay. Now, we're starting to get some interesting stuff here. Imperial Throne Ship. By the way, if you're wondering what these cutouts are, again, I was taking screenshots from the Discriminating Gamers video, so I'm just cutting out like the thumbs that were holding the cards and stuff. Definitely go check that video out if you're interested in watching it. Ray, I believe his name is, did a great job. Okay. 7, get an Emperor's Influence. You can go to Emperor, Guild, or Bene Gesserit. This is like the thing from the box art right here. Okay, so you can go basically everywhere except Freeman. Okay. Get an Intrigue card. All right. Reveal 2 Persuasion if you have 4 or more garrisoned units. Get another Persuasion and 3 Solari. Okay, I like this kind of effect. I don't think I've seen this before. Triggering on having troops in the garrison. That's something I think could be, you know, that's like an idea that hasn't been explored very much. Rewarding you for having a garrison. I like it. I like it. Possible futures. Beautiful. Beautiful. Bene Gesserit and Freeman. 8 Persuasion. Get a water. Landsrad. City. Spice trade. Again, don't worry about this black hole. That's a Landsrad space. Okay, get an influence anywhere or get 2 troops. If you have another Bene Gesserit card in play, get both. Okay, pretty cool. Reveals for 2 persuasion and a water. Huh. It costs 8. Like comparing that to Kwisatz, like, yeah, 1 influence anywhere is good. But comparing that to a Kwisatz Haderach, for example, I don't know. That seems somewhat underwhelming for 8. But I don't know. It's a beautiful card. Okay. Ixian Ambassador. So this is the, you have to be playing with text to use this, but otherwise you can use it in original Dune Imperium or in Uprising. Nice art here for persuasion. Only goes to Landsrad, gets you a spice. Reveal 1 persuasion. If you have 2 or more tech tiles, get an influence anywhere. That is a pretty nice card, and it works very nicely with what it's doing, right? Go to a Landsrad space, get a spice. Well, what are you spending it on? Techs. If you have 2 or more techs, get an influence. I like that card. All right, now here we have the Uprising-exclusive Imperium cards. Eliminate allies, 2 persuasion, has a spy icon, so it can only go to places where you have a spy. When the card is trashed, get 2 troops. Okay, again, that's an Emperor card, so that can combo with that guy that wants to trash Emperor cards. And check this out. You get 2 troops, but remember that guy also, if you do that, you get to activate combat. So you can throw 3 troops into the conflict with that guy if you want. If you manage to trash him. All right. Agent ability, trash a card. Okay. Intelligence training, 3 persuasion, get a spy. Landsrad City, no agent ability. Okay. Command, get a spy. Arrakis Observer, 3 persuasion, city, spice trade. Discard a card to get a deep cover spy. If you discarded a Spacing Guild card, get 2 spice. Okay, cool. All right, persuasion and recall to get swords if you want. All right. Shrouded Council, 4 persuasion. It's a spy card. Get an intrigue card. Nice. Command, trash a card. Holy War, 5. Emperor Guild Bene Gesserit Landsrad. That's nice. Each opponent loses 1 troop. Each opponent spying on the board space where you sent an agent this turn must move that spy. Okay. Reveal for a persuasion a troop, and if you have Freeman Bond, make it a combat. Okay, so there's going to be a lot of surprising troop deployments with this expansion. There's going to be a lot more people deploying troops during their reveal turns. It's going to be a bit of a chaotic situation. Pointing the way, 6, Freeman City Spice Trade. If you have 1 or more sandworms in the conflict, get an intrigue card. Okay, command, get an influence. Delivery logistics. 2 persuasion. What is going on here? This has the agent icons shown on all your incomplete contracts. Huh. That's pretty interesting. Okay. And when you reveal it, you can get a persuasion or get a contract. I like that a lot. Corrupt Bureaucrat, 4. Spacing Guild. Guild Landsrad, spy. When this card is discarded, get 3 Solari. Okay. So that's interesting. They've got some when this card is discarded abilities. There's no unload anywhere in here. But they've got kind of a half of an unload. If you recall to spy this turn, get a contract. Nice. All right. 2 persuasion reveal. Mercantile Affairs. Costs 5, gets you a contract, can go to Bene Gesserit City, Spice Trade, or Spy. If you completed a contract this turn, get an intrigue card. Reveals for 2. All right. And the last one, Chom Demands. 6. Okay. Basic spaces. Reveal. Complete one of your contracts. That is pretty cool. Reveal. If you have completed 4 or more contracts, trash this card and chome directorship yourself. That is pretty exciting. I like that a lot. Okay, that is all of the Imperium cards. So again, there's more than half of it you can use without Uprising, but a good chunk of it you can only use with Uprising. There are multiple copies. There are like 2 copies of a lot of these cards. Some of them are singles, some of them are doubles. You can watch the unboxing video if you want to see exactly which ones those are. All right. And then lastly, we have the Intrigue cards. I'm not going to go through like a lot of detail here. I'll just kind of show them to you. And I just took flat screenshots from the unboxing video here. All right. So we've got more deploying to the conflict, cool combat cards, Honor Guard. Recruiting a Sardaukar commander costs you 1 less this turn. Also gives you a troop. Okay. Cool. Another Endgame card. Okay, so you can discard a card to get a water. At the end, if you have 3 or more water, get a victory point. Yeah, just what we needed. More Endgame points. But, it's kind of cool. Okay, Seize Production. I like the title. Get 2 Solari. Nice. Or if you have 1 or more Sardaukar commanders in the conflict, get 2 Spice. Okay, so that's like just like strictly better than the card that just straight up gives you 2 Solari. Okay, more retreating of troops. Okay, interesting. You can trash a card to get swords. That's like a double bonus, basically. Pretty cool. More retreating of troops. Okay, spy stuff. Another endgame card. Flip 2 of your face-up conflict cards to get a victory point. So face-up conflict cards are ones that you haven't matched. So that's going to allow you basically to match them and get a point. More spy stuff. Or ignore influence requirements on board spaces. So you can go to like interstellar shipping, even if you don't have the thing. Or in Uprising, obviously, you can go to Imperial Privilege or whatever. Ripples in the Sand. Okay, Sandworms give you Intrigue cards. Sleeper Unit, more spy stuff. Okay, those are the Intrigue cards. That is everything from the expansion. So the last thing I'll point out is just that we have an announcement from, oops, that's not right. Hold on a second. There's an announcement put up by Direwolf here announcing when this game is coming out and when you can pre-order it. Here we go. Dune Imperium Bloodlines pre-orders opening soon. So I'm not going to read through all of this. I'll just go through the main details here. Pre-orders will be available Thursday, November 14th. That's tomorrow or today, depending on how exactly this video gets released and when you watch it. Wow. Also, by the way, Thursday, November 14th, 9:30 a.m. Eastern time is my 1-year anniversary Dune Imperium stream. So 2 awesome things happening. Okay. So here's the pre-order bonus card. Cull your forces here. Emperor card costs 4, city, and spice trade. If you have 1 or more Sardaukar commanders in the conflict, trash 2 cards. That's pretty exciting. Reveals for, a persuasion and a sword. And if you have a command, combat. Again, more of this revealing on combat. I think that's going to kind of change the dynamics of the game quite a bit. And then here's an announcement of when you can expect to see developer or design diaries. So the first one's supposed to be the 14th. There's one on commanders, new tech tiles, Ixian Embassy, High Council, and Command. So really, really cool. Now, of course, I don't know. The design diaries coming out after they've already given somebody a full unboxing video is like a little bit weird. I feel like you'd want to have people excited to see what's being revealed in the design diaries before just giving them everything. The timing's a little strange there, but whatever. This is very exciting. Okay, so that's everything. Let me know what you think of this expansion. So what do I think about it? I'm pretty excited, I have to say. Now, again, I'm not really into Uprising at the moment, but still, all the other stuff I'll be pretty happy to add into the game. I think it adds a lot of interesting stuff, very fun new Imperium cards, a bunch of new leaders. I mean, that is big. The new leaders are a really, really big deal. And there's a lot of them that you can add in into the original Dune Imperium. So that's great. One thing, sadly, is there is nothing connected to immortality. So there's no new, nothing that interacts with specimens, nothing that no new Tleilaxu row cards, no leaders that interact with the Tleilaxu stuff. It's a little bit sad because I think immortality is a great expansion and it would be nice to just get a few more things connected to it. Why not? You've got this expansion. It's got stuff that has text. It's got stuff for contracts. It's got stuff for the original game. Why not give us a couple of things, just a couple that could connect to immortality? I can understand not putting that many because you don't want your expansion to necessarily require a different expansion, but a couple of things would have been nice. But regardless, wow. Super exciting, very fun to finally get all the information about this expansion. Let me know what you think. Make sure to subscribe to the channel if you haven't already. You can follow me on Twitch, twitch.tv/bludgeon. Watch me play Dune Imperium Digital live every Sunday, 10 a.m. Eastern Time. And again, tune in Thursday, November 14th, 9:30 a.m. Eastern Time for a special 1-year anniversary stream of Dune Imperium Digital and my Dune Imperium channel. Thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you next time. Take care. Bye-bye.